What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Feud. We have breaking news today. I am Stoned Arrow, and that is Paul Cotton. Mason isn't here today. And before we get into today's breaking news, over Russell Wilson, I want to say like the video if you enjoy it. Comment down below where you think Russell Wilson is going to get traded to, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, more breaking news and fantasy football advice. But without more further ado, I'm going to get things over to Paul, and he's going to read the report.
This is based on a report from Jordan Schultz. I know he probably doesn't have as much pull or weight, I guess, in the NFL community, but he has been right a couple of times in the past about big moves possibly being made. And this time, Russell Wilson is he's expected to waiver his no trade clause for about 3 teams. We know we came up with this last year where it was Chicago, New Orleans. I forget the other 2 places that he said he would go, but now he's narrowed it down to the New York Giants, the New Orleans Saints again, as well as the Denver Broncos. Um, I don't think any of these teams are out of it. Obviously, we know the Broncos need a quarterback. The Giants would love to just give up on Danny Dimes and get a guy like Russ. But as me and Stone were just kind of talking about before we started recording, we think the Saints could be the best possibility here for him. If Michael Thomas stays, a healthy Alvin Kamara, this would revitalize their organization just like it did when they brought in Drew Brees. I don't know if you have anything else you want to talk about on this, Stone, but I mean this could be I wouldn't say an NFL like culture shattering move, but Russell Wilson, he's been in Seattle for the past 9 years. This could absolutely break the NFL depending on where he chooses to go.
I would hate to see Russell Wilson leave the Seahawks. It's just like that's kind of just
Yeah.
he lives and dies in Seattle right now. But I mean, at this point, Mason's been saying it all year long. They needed to blow up. Seattle's not going to be good this year. They need to get rid of Wilson while they can. Now he's showing decline this season, so it's like, what are they actually going to get out of him? Maybe not as much as they would have hoped to last year. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I agree. New Orleans is such a good fit for him. Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara. I mean, you have Mark Ingram in the picture again, and I mean, you have a wide range of receivers there that are like not great, but they're all good. Like Lil Jordan Humphrey's a good receiver. Traquan Smith's a good receiver. I mean, you got so many guys that can actually pass catch there. I mean, Adam Trotman's a serviceable tight end. So you put Russell Wilson in that New Orleans offense, and he's going to make some damage work. But I don't like the Giants one. I don't think he'd really mesh well there. I don't. They have receivers, but I mean, it's just I don't really think it matters who the quarterback there in New York is. But I wanted to talk.
I don't know. I feel like that one comes down to coach maybe. Maybe not if Joe Judge is still there. If they can find somebody that can work around Russell's talents, I feel like he could do work in that offense. I mean, not as much as what I agree with to the Saints, but we're talking about Russell Wilson. This isn't Taylor Heineke or just some other guy that's like moving around. This is one of the elite quarterbacks that has made his team go. And after we seen the Legion of Boom blow like 5-6 years ago, like Russell Wilson is really what's kept this Seattle franchise kind of at the peaks that it's been at. I mean, obviously they're not the same. They're not going to NFL championships anymore. They're not playing for NFC titles. But I mean, he's what's kept this team afloat. And I think depending on wherever he goes, he's gonna have success. But like you said, I think the Saints, he might just be able to get them over the hump as well as himself and kind of propel him to another possible championship.
And before we wrap things up today, I do want to talk about the possibility of him going to Denver as well, because that one's really intriguing to me. Because they still have Melvin Gordon there,
Yeah.
and they have a young rising star in Javonte Williams. Starting to love that guy. Paul's been raving about him all year for good reason. Very talented running back. And then you got Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, and Cortland Sutton with Noah Fant at the tight end. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a very stacked offense with no quarterback, man. And that defense is nothing to joke about either. So if you give them an elite quarterback, Denver could immediately be in that conversation as an elite AFC team next year in the AFC West and just bolster that division even more than what it already is. So I don't know if you got anything to say about Denver if he went there.
Um, Not necessarily, but I do just want to say one thing about possible compensation. Going back to this past offseason, Chicago had offered, I believe it was 2 premium players as well as like 3 first round picks. And they turned it down. I don't think that they're going to be able to get that type of contract or I guess that type of compensation in a trade.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's kind of to the point of where they had maybe messed up not trading him to Chicago and getting as much. But they've now had to endure another bad season, and it's just I'm probably going to say maybe at least 2 first round picks in potential players, or it could just be straight draft capital at 3 first round picks. But I think it's going to be a step under what Deshaun's obviously going to get if he's traded. But I still think this is going to be a huge draft or a huge package, I guess, in order to pry him out of Seattle.
Yeah, and for all you viewers out there, just so you're aware, obviously a trade deadline's passed, so this isn't until the offseason. But
Yeah,
obviously, with how
correct.
awful Seattle's year has been this year, I think they're 4-8 now, or something like that, 3-8, three.
Yeah, after the win, I believe
Yeah,
4-8,
yeah,
four
okay,
and eight or 4-9.
yeah. So it's been a rough year for Seattle. They just lost Jamal Adams for the rest of the year. They're not going anywhere. I could see this being Russell Wilson's last year in Seattle. He's already 33 years old, so it would not surprise me in the slightest. And that is all we got to say today about the breaking news. I don't know if it's so much breaking news. I think everyone kind of expected this to happen next offseason. I mean, it was expected this offseason, and it didn't happen somehow. And now look at Seattle. That's why Russ wanted out so bad. So
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty clear it's going to happen this year. So these are the 3 teams that it might happen with. We know Aaron Rodgers probably wants out of Green Bay too, so maybe he's going to factor in some of those teams. So this is just a really early report on the possible trade. So if you guys liked the video today, like it, comment down below if you think he's even going to go to any of these 3 teams or if he just stays in Seattle. I don't see it happening, but hey, who knows? Possibilities are endless with him. And subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed today's video. Subscribe so you can get more breaking news and more fantasy football content like this from me, Paul, and Mason, who is not here with us today. But Mason's not here. He usually has a breakout for us, so I'm going to give it over to Paul so he can do Mason's famous breakout for him.
All right. And it's a few out. Let's go.